Hi everyone, my name is Mahadi and I'll be your moderator for today's webinar. Today's topic is going to be Indian authors versus American authors. There are many cultural differences in every type of art, such as music, paintings, and also literature. We'll be going into the writing of them, modern and old, and even into the authors themselves and writing styles. Now let's go over the table of contents on the next slide. First, we'll be starting with an About Us where we will meet our panelists. Next, we'll go on to the main topic where we'll talk about our authors and just a general overview. Then we'll go to our comparisons of how they differ and how they're the same, and then we'll go to our interaction session. First, let's go on to our About Us. As I said, my name is Mahadi and I'm an 8th grader at Ruther Middle School in Michigan, and some things that I like to do are reading and painting. Today I'm going to compare Megha Majumdar and Karen Mcmanus. Next is Dave.
Dave?
Oh, hi, my name is Dave. Today I'll do Chetan Bhagat and Rick Riordan.
Hello everyone, my name is Ravon and I'm going to be talking about Ruskin Bond and also Eve Bunting, both very famous realistic fiction authors. So I'm Virat and I'm going to be talking about Isaac Asimov and Intrados. So these are two of the very famous books, I, Robot and The Devourers. In fact, I, Robot was adapted into a movie, and The Devourers was known as one of the best books of the year by the Washington Post. So let's find out more. Okay. Ready?
Now that everyone is introduced, let's go on to the main topic on the next slide. Can you go back a slide super quick? Thanks. But before I start, I'd like to say a quote. Books are uniquely portable magic to different worlds. To emphasize on this, I'd like to see how books are so diverse and can make different worlds with different topics. I'll be talking about my authors next, but before that, what is the actual significant difference between Indian and American authors? On the next slide. First, we have to think about different topics. In different countries and ethnicities, everyone will have a different experience. We can talk about the struggles within that nationality and conflicts within countries. In the context of Indian and American, we can give examples about poverty and sexism in India, as well as racism and a lot of political problems in America. Another difference could be the general experience, like writing about a core stereotypical memory. And we can also include the general differences between the authors, like writing styles. This can include more or less detail, more or less personification, different genres, third person POV, and first person, and so on and so forth. But we can always ensure that every single author is very, very different. Now let's go on to the next slide where I'll be talking about my authors. My authors are Megha Majumdar and Karen Mcmanus. I have read both of their books and I will compare and contrast them, but let's get to know them more on the next slide. Megha Majumdar was born in Kolkata, India. She moved to the US to attend college at Harvard University where she was a Traub Scholar, followed by graduate school on social anthropology at Johns Hopkins University. She works as an associate editor at the Catapult and lives in New York City at 33 years old. A Burning was her first and only book. It made 13 lists of the best book as well as being a New York Times bestseller. Karen Mcmanus was born in Massachusetts, US. She is 52 years old and went to the Northeastern University. She is the author of the best-selling book series One of Us is Lying. It spent 160 weeks on the New York Times bestseller list, and they are both very accomplished authors. Now let's go on to the comparison of their books. To start with The Burning. It is a fiction/mystery and it was written in 2020. Javan is a Muslim girl from the slums, determined to move up in life, who was accused of executing a terrorist attack on a train because of a careless comment on Facebook. P.T. Sir is an opportunistic gym teacher who hitches his aspirations to a right-wing political party and finds that his own ascent becomes linked to Javan's fall. Lovely, an irresistible outcast whose exuberant voice and dreams of glory fill the novel with warmth and hope and humor, has the alibi that can set Javan free, but it will also cost her everything she holds dear. I am still in the process of reading it, but I can sense the themes of uniting relationships through tragedy, as well as the cultural differences to another mystery novel. One of Us is Lying. This was also a mystery and was published in 2017. On a Monday afternoon, 5 students at Bayview High walked into detention. Bronwyn, the brain, is a Yale-bound and never breaks the rule. Addie, the beauty, is a picture-perfect homecoming princess. Nate, the criminal, is already on probation for dealing. Cooper, the athlete, is an all-star baseball pitcher. And Simon, the outcast, is the creator of Bayview High's notorious gossip app. Only, Simon never makes it out of that classroom. Before the end of detention, Simon's dead, and according to investigators, his death was not an accident. On Monday, he died, but on Tuesday, he planned to post juicy reveals about all 4 of his high-profile classmates, which makes all 4 of them suspects in his murder. Or are they the perfect patsies for a killer who is still on the loose? Everyone has secrets, right? What really matters is how far you would go to protect them. I read this book back in 6th grade, and I don't remember it very well, but I connected the 2 books together. So now let's talk about the similarities and differences between them on the next slide. The similarities include the central theme that surrounds friendships and relationships around a common mystery, like a terrorist attack and a murder. Unexpected people can become friends in both of the books. Just like the stereotypes in One of Us is Lying, the jock and the nerd becomes friends, as well in The Burning, the outcast and the sweetheart become friends too. The differences are also there too. See, such as how there are different settings, one in Asia and one in North America, also in a school, tiny town store, and also a universal terrorist attack. But then again, there are also stereotypes in a different way. The jock is less harmful than a poverty-level person, and as well as the obvious cultural differences. These books and authors were very enjoyable and also provide an insight to how everyone is, especially in different ethnicities. Thank you. Next, we have Dave talking about his authors.
Hi, I'm Dave. Today I'm going to talk about Caitanya Bhagat versus Rick Riordan. Wait, no, Caitanya Bhagat and Rick Riordan. Next slide. Caitanya Bhagat was born on April 22nd, 1974 in New Delhi, India. He graduated in mechanical engineering at IIT Delhi. He also completed a PGP at IIM Ahmedabad. He started his career as an investment banker but left it after a few years to pursue writing. He wrote 9 novels and 3 nonfiction books. His first novel, published in 2004, is called 5 Point Someone. His novels have been listed as bestsellers in India. 5 of his novels were adapted into Bollywood films, like Hello in 2008, 3 Idiots in 2009, Kai Po Che in 2013, 2 States in 2014, and Half Girlfriend in 2017. In 1997, he graduated with a Master of Business Administration degree. After that, Caitanya was placed through his campus at Peregrine Investments Holdings in Hong Kong. Unfortunately, he and everyone else lost their jobs within 6 months because the building closed its operations in 1998. His next job was an investment banker in Hong Kong, and it was called Goldman Sachs. Rick Riordan was born on June 5, 1964 in San Antonio, Texas. He started his career as an English and social studies teacher in public and private middle schools for 15 years. St. Mary's Hall honored him with the school's Master Teacher Award while teaching in San Antonio. Two of his Percy Jackson novels were adapted as movies, and one of them is Percy Jackson and the Lightning Thief. While teaching full-time, Rick Riordan began writing mystery novels for grown-ups. His Tres Navarre series went to win on the top 3 national awards in the mystery genre: the Edgar, the Anthony, and the Seamus. Riordan turned to children's fiction when he started The Lightning Thief as a bedtime story for his oldest son. And also, Rick Riordan has over 20 novels for young readers. Next slide. So for the comparison, Chetan Bhagat is indeed the present youth icon of India. His style of writing is not the conventional type of writing you have been taught, neither is it in the form of you would expect of pure English novels. His writing is very simple and conveys the message of love, anxiety, tension, suspense, and etc. in a very subtle and clear manner. Rick Riordan's main style of writing, as seen in Percy Jackson, Heroes of Olympus, and the Kane Chronicles, are almost always lighthearted and humorous, with many scenes that are prone to make readers laugh. However, usually in the end of his books, they take on only a slightly sadder side. His genre of writing is mostly fantasy, mythological, or adventurous. Next slide. Here are fun facts about Chetan Bhagat. Number 1, 400 Days is Chetan Bhagat's new book, which was released on October 8, 2021. And number 2, he was included in the Time magazines of the most 100 influential people in 2010. I've seen 3 Idiots, the first one. I really like that movie. And Kaipo Che is also a really good movie too. I also like Kick, that's an action movie. Next slide. Rick Riordan's newest book, The Cursed Carnival, was released on September 28, 2021. And number 2, he likes to play video games with his kids. I like Rick Riordan more because his Percy Jackson books are really funny and they're good. I started reading them in 4th grade or 3rd grade. I don't know. And I think I'm done.
One thing to relate, Dave, once Vavan found the Percy Jackson series, he read like the whole entire series, and he started reading the next series too in like less than a month.
Thanks, Dave. One fact that I found very cool is that Chetan Bhagat was on the list of 100 influential people, and I'll surely remember that. Next, we have Yvonne.
Okay, so I'm going to talk about Eve Bunting and Ruskin Bond. Here are the 2 people shown below as figurines: Eve Bunting and Ruskin Bond. So, writing. They both write realistic fiction. Realistic fiction is a genre of fiction that involves to do with plots that could possibly happen in real life, or that are very similar to things that have happened, like based off of true stories. Ruskin Bonds are semi-autobiographical. This means that they basically portray him. An autobiography is a type of biography that seems that an author writes themselves to tell their history. So Eve Bunting books are completely fiction, but they are very realistic, like things like losing a shoe or something. Eve Bunting makes short picture books, while Ruskin Bond makes chapter books that are medium-sized, maybe 100 to 200 pages. So Ruskin Bond status. He was born in 1934, Kazuali in India, and it goes all the way to present 2021, and he's right now 87 years old, the old author. So, like I said, realistic fiction writer and semi-autobiographical. His parents are Edith Clark and Aubrey Alexander. He was later adopted by stepfather, and he has British heritage, but he's from India. So Eve Bunting still is lived today, and she's even older than Ruskin Bond at a gasping 94 years. She also writes realistic fiction and picture books. She was born in Magri, United Kingdom. Her parents are Mary Bolton and Sloan Edmund Bolton. Now, we'll compare their writing styles again. Ruskin Bond often centers his books around a character called Rusty, who's very similar to Ruskin as a child. Ruskin was a very playful child who lost his father, and Rusty seems to portray the same. Rusty is a semi-autobiographical character that Ruskin made up. Eve Bunting often centers her books around children in general. She never repeats a character. She always picks to making new and interesting plots every single time. And the children could be like 10-year-old girl or a 4-year-old boy. Doesn't really matter. She just does it. And for her, it's really fun. So here's the bookshelf. Oh, and by the way, this is the War of Worlds, which isn't related. So Ruskin wrote Looking for the Rainbow, The Blue Umbrella, The Adventures of Rusty, and Rusty, the Boy from the Hills. These are just 4 of his very famous books, and he wrote a lot more. They're interesting plots about realistic stories. Then Eve Bunting wrote A Day's Work, Fly Away Home, Train to Somewhere, and The Night Tree. And again, these are also 4 of Eve Bunting's very famous books.
Thank you, Vivon. One fact that I found super interesting was the fact that Ruskin Bond bases his books after, well, some of them like after himself, because I've never seen another author do that. Now we have Virat.
In 1 second to Inzdas, could I share my screen?
Sure, but I think Vivon just left. So.
Yeah, I'll wait for him. Anyways, Isaac Asimov. He's not here yet.
Oh, okay.
Don't walk away when you're sharing the screen. Yes, thanks. First of all, Isaac Asimov. Sadly, Isaac Asimov died on April 6, 1992, but he was a great author. He was born on January 2nd, 1920. Although his birthday ranges from October 14th to January 2nd in 1920, these are just estimates, so we celebrate his birthday on January 2nd, 1920. He studied in Columbia University. He settled as a biochemist, and Isaac Asimov written or edited 500 books. Yeah, sorry for the typo, but it should be fine. The book's wide viewed, I would say, because he has a wide view of the world, and it's not just from one perspective. You may have heard the down the middle perspective. Instead of going specifically one side, many authors change perspectives like that. Now, his books include Foundation, which is actually a series. There's a second Foundation, Lost and Foundation, and there are many to the Foundation series. So I suggest you also check that out. And then iRobot, iRobot, not iRobot. Anyways, you can also see the iRobot film. It has been adapted to a film. iRobot is a good book. And Second Foundation, like I said, there's a series. And Caves of Steel, that's a part of the robot series. iRobot is not a part of the robot series. I'm pretty sure you saw the iRobot book cover on my introduction slide. Next slide. Okay, can I share my screen? Thanks. Yeah. This is actually Interdas's website. He has a website and it's pretty cool. So he's not just an author, but he's also an illustrator. He also works on art. So here are some of his artwork. The Devourers is his most famous book. And these are some of his prizes that he got. I didn't mention all of them, but it's good. And these are a lot of his books. So these are also other publications. Anyways, that was just a little introduction to that he's not just an author, but an illustrator. Okay, next slide. Yep. His status. When he was born is actually unknown. I couldn't find the info, but it's not even on his website. But apart from that, he has a pretty good background. The Devourers was considered one of the best books of the year. Was considered one of the best books of the year by the Washington Post, like I said in the introduction slide, and he's a Shirley Jackson Award winner because he has written a lot of short fiction stories. Like he even instead of writing big books, he usually works with small articles and small books instead of huge novels. Linda has written about books, comics, TV, and films for publications, including Slant Magazine, Vogue, India, India, Strange Horizons, and Vancouver Weekly. You may have heard some of these, and some of his books include Clark's World. I haven't read many of these, but there's also Strange Horizons. And surprisingly, which this was completely a coincidence, he also made a book called Asimov's Science Fiction. It's a book about Isaac Asimov's science fiction, and that's exactly who I'm comparing him with. That's a cool coincidence. Next slide. Yep. So the similarities are he has really powerful books, and Isaac Asimov, both of them have powerful books, and they have a wide view, and most of them are bestsellers. They're entertaining and high rating, and a lot, judging by how people think about it, it seems that a lot of people think that it's great at hooking them. And the difference is that Isaac Asimov has bigger books and he's into more about machines like iRobot, Caves of Steel. He does a lot with machines and computers and robotics in his things, while Indradas is more focused on people, because even if there's a lot of technology in the stories, he usually mentions the people as much as possible. Like few of his books, like Lightspeed, Lightspeed is less about their ship and more about the people themselves. So I would say that he is a more personality writer, and I would say that Isaac Asimov is a more technical writer. Well, it's not that surprising since he actually celebrates it by Mcmanus. Anyways, next slide. This one of my slides are missing. Could you refresh the slides? Could you refresh the slides? Here are my recommendations for the books. This is not really related to them, but this is just in general. I, Robot is a good book, and The Devourers by Das. These were one of their most famous books that they wrote, and there's this really good series called Hive. It stands for Higher Institute of Women's Education, and it's by Mark Walden. So yeah, that was all.
Thank you, Virat. I found Inder Das's website super cool because the art was very, very good and they looked a bit like comics. So now let's go to our Q&A and interaction session. I have 3 questions so far, but you can join the live meeting and give us your questions to interact with the panelists. But for now, let's just go through these questions. So the first one is, are there 2 books that are very similar by different authors that you might have talked about like in this webinar or maybe you like researched on before?
Yeah, like I mentioned, some like taking small parts of Isaac Asimov's science fiction books and putting them in Isaac Asimov's science fiction was like, I wouldn't say that it would be similar. I would say like he worked on off of his work, but I would say it's an answer.
Yeah, I found that coincidence super cool because like you were comparing them too. Does anybody else have an answer to that? Okay, so the next question is, do you think that modern Indian works can be compared easier to modern American books than old Indian works to old American works?
Actually, modern Indian works to modern American works, because most old, I would say, the old school books from America were judged based off of religion, because like now only diversity started to show, but previously it was a lot more dependent on culture and regionals. So now that books have gotten more diverse, I would say that it's a lot easier to compare now.
Yeah, I agree with that because I feel like a lot of the modern authors are writing like other nationalities and ethnicities and experiences rather than their own. And like I feel like a lot of them, yeah, stem from religion and all that old stuff. And in old Indian works were like also like surrounded by Hinduism and whatnot.
Yeah, I
Yeah.
really tried to avoid talking about the church, because like it's not all about the church.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah, so this is mainly because like transportation and telegraphs and phones and stuff like that, like the ideas are spreading.
Yeah, I really agree with that. So the next one is, do you think that some genres might be similar no matter the ethnicity of the author? So like 2 books of genres, like say an Indian American wrote a mystery novel and an American author wrote a mystery novel and they would be super similar?
Totally. like it happens. Like we're talking about the same exact thing, right? Mystery. Like under mystery, all it comes is maybe they're trying to figure out something, detectives. Like I once read a book called The Ghosts of Tupelo Landing. Ghost of Tupelo Landing was about a ghost at Molabu. I have no idea how to pronounce that accent. Like she was trying to figure out like about a ghost mystery in like Red Baker's house, who is an extremely old man, and also like it was pretty creepy about like all the ghosts and stuff. And then she also had to interview like a ghost for her history project, which is also kind of funny. And then I also read like other similar books that were related to books, well, about ghosts, like picking up things and objects and like mystery, and they were trying to figure it out. So I guess they could be.
Yeah, I feel like cliches also play a part in this because you might see two books that seem like super similar because of the same tropes and the same cliches. So no matter the author, yeah.
I'd say it becomes more judgmental on nonfiction. Nonfiction, it starts relating more to the roots and what they want, their interests. But when it comes down to fiction, it's what everybody likes and not what, depending on what you believe in.
Yeah. Does anybody else have any other questions?
No.
Okay, so, or go on. So I think that nobody else has a question, so we can probably end the webinar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so
We're
go
going
on.
to, yeah, soon we're going to be discussing the
End the
topic.
webinar. Srini and Co, could you end the webinar? Thanks.
Soon we're going to be discussing the topic. If you want to join in on a discussion, then join the Zoom link.
Mati, since you're the co-host, you could maybe, I think you could find something to stop it, like stop cloud recording.
Yes, the webinar stop now.
Oh, yeah.